Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy lives to join with us this evening and explore the wonderful world of Dowsing Beyond Duality. Arena and I are thrilled to be sharing this with you all tonight, as it has been a thrilling adventure developing this method and this system. Before we go any further, however, I want to be sure that I'm not just talking to my computer here. If a couple of you could just type in that you're hearing me into your question box here. Oh, I see we've already got some great questions coming through here, which we will definitely get to by the end of this session. But, oh, great. Okay,
Nice.
thank you. Thank you. Good to know.
Hello, everybody. Just to let you know, I'm here as well, and we are really excited to be doing this class with you. And thanks for starting with the questions already. Everybody's got great discussions here. Seems like we're all inspired with a lot of the changes that we're perceiving going on, and the sensations we're having as we go through this wild shifting time together.
Yeah, is the baby born yet, or are we still in the delivery room here?
I don't know. Every once in a while there's a contraction, but it seems to keep moving along somehow.
So what we're going to do tonight, our intention at least, is just to give a brief overview as to what this is all about, what dowsing is about, and particularly what this form of dowsing is about, and why it's a little different perhaps than what you have learned in the past about dowsing. And then we're going to, go right into some demonstrations of the kinds of things that we can do by actually offering some group clearings. And again, we'll wind up with looking at the questions, and again, we'll just see where this goes. We actually have turned this time over to the divine, so we welcome you to do the same thing. And putting this in good hands is a great way of being assured that everyone will have their needs met.
And just to mention to you folks, as far as tonight's presentation goes, you will not see our faces. Somebody said I have a picture but no faces. We have
faces.
We do have faces, by the way. We have faces. Anyway, just to let you know that. But right now, you might be happier looking at this. Who knows? It's been a long day.
Actually, we were trying to rig this in such a way that we could actually have our faces for you to all see. But we found out that there's some limitations in our technical know-how, and stand by for future broadcasts where we actually are able to do that. But yes, we really are here. We actually are here in bodies.
And we're very close to being able to do that technology. We did do it with somebody else not all that long ago, and having somebody else moderate with us, we were able to have the picture showing. On this GoToWebinar, there is no option for video. We can show a PowerPoint, but we cannot do video. Up to this point, this is the best way for us to deliver material to a large array of people all over the globe without having glitches. So we're sticking to this, and we will do our best to describe what we're doing so you can have a nice visual on it.
So again, what is dowsing? Well, dowsing is a traditional art. There is evidence that people were using this kind of divination as far back as Egypt and Sumeria. And really, what we call classic dowsing, or interfacing with the environment and looking for information, was really useful in that it was like an extension of our senses. We talk about the conscious mind as only being 10% of our total awareness. We have a superconscious mind, which some of you may recognize as the unconscious mind. We prefer superconscious, as it gives ourselves a little credit. That superconscious mind operates on a much deeper and broader level than the conscious mind is capable of, and yet we're not consciously able to access that information ordinarily. I'm sure most of you are familiar with muscle testing, and that's another way of accessing information from the superconscious mind as it expresses through changes in our muscle strength. In a similar way, classic dowsing gives responses to questions from the conscious mind to the superconscious mind about the environment traditionally. You know, where is the water, where is the oil, where is my lost object or whatever. And the superconscious mind, in a sense, sends out a signal to the environment and gets a resonance with the desired target. The information, depending on the question that is asked, comes back through, in this case, through a specific motion of the pendulum. And so, again, this is the kind of dowsing that most people are familiar with still today and has been in practice for many, many eons.
What we can do with dowsing, that is, those are all great experiences and purposes, you know, or I should say directions for our dowsing. And we can do so much more with it. As David mentioned, it really does allow us to tap into the superconscious mind. And actually that superconscious mind goes far beyond what we call our own subconscious mind. It really is the mind that we are all part of. So all answers are accessible. And so we travel to where the mind wants to take us in a given moment to find information. Many times that is in the form of information regarding what we want to let go of or release so that we can feel more peace in life. The truth is, there is nothing we need add to ourselves to make ourselves any better than we are. We are perfect as we were created. Nothing can ever change that. The caveat here is we don't always feel perfect as we are created, and we get stressed out, and we feel that life is incredibly challenging, and we want to change family patterns, ancestral patterns, all this stuff because we just want to be free. So we use dowsing as a beautiful tool to access what we need to let go of, and then we use the pendulum once we find the information out. We use the pendulum as a tool to actually create a little mini vortex that works with our intention and releases those patterns. We create new little realities for ourselves, or new experiences for ourselves.
So a fundamental principle here is the primacy or the supremacy of the mind. You know, in our education and in the way we relate to the world through our senses, we very often assume that we are at the receiving end of events, or the victim, you might say, of circumstances. And this is a very disempowering posture, in that you never know, what's going to happen next and how you're going to be able to respond to life's events. What we like to do is turn that picture around and see that the mind is actually the creator of our experience. For example, when you perceive something, even something as simple as a tree, when you look at that tree, your senses automatically are attached to a thought and a belief about what this object is that you're seeing. And that belief is attached often to language. We have terms like a tree or an apple tree, and that language is tied to the past. So what we're actually doing when we're perceiving the world around us in the present moment, we are recreating the past. You see how we do that? And it happens so instantly and so habitually that we take it for granted that this is the real world. But it is a world that we are manufacturing moment by moment through our own mental conditioning and preferences. So in order to change that world, where do we need to go? What is the deepest level of cause that is available to us? And what we propose, it's your own mind. So when we're doing this form of dowsing, such as what Irina has been describing, we call this active dowsing as compared to classic dowsing. We're really changing our mind about what we're experiencing or have experienced in the past. We're really working with unwinding the beliefs, the assumptions, the memories, just the old patterns that keep us from being totally free in the moment to reinterpret the world. Our experience has been that when we unwind these conditionings in our own minds, we begin to see the world in a different light, with less baggage attached, you might say, with less need to interpret the world, for example. So that's what dowsing beyond duality is. Now, in order to appreciate what beyond duality actually means, we have to understand what duality is. And duality is simply the coexistence of opposites. We take it for granted that for every up there's a down, for a left there's a right, for a dark there's a light, for a good there's an evil. And that just seems to be, again, the world that we live in. But remember what we said about how the mind is the cause of our experience. And if you look at a picture of the human brain, what you see is an organ split right down the middle. It's almost as if there are two brains operating simultaneously. And so again, our world of conflict, our world of problems, our world of situations to solve is really a world of perception. So by changing our mind about things, again, dowsing to find the source of our experience in our own minds, we release the world from the dualities that keep us in conflict. And we enter into a state known as non-duality. Now, non-duality is very hard to describe because it's really just what you're left with in the absence of duality. It's where you are when there's no conflict. And many people have called that peace. So really, that is the purpose that we're giving this dowsing, not to create beliefs about supernatural things or to lead ourselves down intellectual highways and byways and getting lost in all of the increments of this reality, but really to release ourselves from the pain and the suffering inherent in duality. We do feel that and understand that this is our destiny as humans to actually be able to come to this point. So with dowsing, like many other healing modalities, all we're really doing is saving time and finding little shortcuts to that awakening to ourselves, to that peace, which is our destiny.
So what David is describing as duality and our experience of duality, everything is energy. Everything that we experience is energy. Our thoughts, our emotions, actually everything. And scientifically, this is validated now. And we also understand that we are all part of a field, all connected, all affecting everything I experience actually has an imprint in that field, and everyone else in existence is affected by what I'm feeling. So when we are dowsing, when we are releasing patterns, the reason we are able to do so easily and literally create changes is because everything is energy. Everything has a wave form. And the mind, our thoughts, primarily our unconscious thoughts, create this web of experiences that we have. And as David said, we continue having these experiences over and over again. In other words, reliving the past. With that being said, this energy pattern stays with us. It's part of our body, part of our field, and the law of resonance or attraction creates new experiences over and over again as we carry specific energy patterns with us. Maybe from a trauma we had as a child or a trauma we had in a past life. We carry these patterns with us and we keep repeating an experience that brings up all those feelings, all those thoughts and emotions that were associated with that trauma. So what we do with dowsing, we get clear on our intent, and we're going to actually start, right, and we're going to jump into the dowsing in one moment, is we are able to access what thought, what experience wants to be cleared. It's only a waveform. We're going to use the pendulum and create a vortex with it or a spin that literally creates a carrier wave or a standing wave in the center of it, that our clear intention for creating change of those patterns we've been holding on to, it carries that intention and it shifts things. It literally creates what's called a phase shift or a change of waveforms or energy. When we change that, everything is changed. Now the cool thing is, because all of these patterns, this energy is held onto us and we repeat it over and over again through lifetimes, that energy is still present, that we can work with it. So we can literally change the past and change the outcome and the effects of the past. So I'm sure at some point tonight we'll do a little time travel together too. Again, everything, we're getting into the twilight zone now. Again, this is all just energy patterns. We can change all of them, and that changes everything. Then the past isn't what it used to be. So why don't we get up and going now?
Sure.
And if you want to just start them with the yeses and the nos, what we'd like to do is invite you, and this is just going to be, this is an introduction tonight. We will let you know how you can access a full-blown class. But for the introduction, if you have something that you'd like to use, a pendulum or a locket on a chain, we're going to just go through a very brief introduction of the movements of that pendulum. And a pendulum is any weighted thing hanging on a string or a chain. So if you have something handy, go with it. If not, then, come into, again, we'll let you know how you can access a full-blown class on this. But just so you're aware of the movements that are happening while we go through these clearings, we'll describe that to you. I'll let David describe that to you, and you can use your pendulum along with us if you'd like to while we go through the clearings tonight.
Now, one of the reasons this works, folks, no matter where you are in the world or the country, is that level of mind that we're dealing with, that superconscious level, operates in what we would call a quantum dimension. So even though our bodies and our brains are separated by time and distance, on that superconscious level, we are one. That is the level of our oneness, and there's an instantaneous response when intention is focused in any place within that oneness from any source. So again, there's a quantum physics understanding to help us in the modern era understand how this kind of distance work works. Now, when I first started dowsing, my spontaneous response to a yes was a circular spin to the right or a clockwise spin. It just seemed to come naturally. And a left spin would be a no response. And again, that's classic dowsing, and the accuracy of that is really dependent on the accuracy of your question or the focus of your questioning. We have actually shifted over now to different movements. So for yes movements, there's a way that we program, which we cover in the class, our nervous systems and our brains to accept a vertical movement as a yes response and a horizontal movement for a no response. This frees up the spins for the more active form of dowsing, which we'll be doing here momentarily. So with a left spin of the pendulum, started by you, by the way, and counterclockwise, we use this for a removal process, for reducing, removing, limiting, this kind of thing. And we find that 90% of the stuff we do is left spin, simply because of how we've already explained. We've got all this conditioning and baggage to clear. The right spin is for bringing in something new energy or improving a situation or a condition. And so we use the right spin kind of like icing on the cake very often. So tonight we've actually programmed, or I should say, dowsed ahead to see what kind of clearings we can use tonight as a demonstration for you all out there. And I suggest that unless you're already up and dowsing, just to sit back and relax and calm your mind down, go into what we call an alpha state. When we're in a problem-solving state, trying to figure out how things work and what am I to do and what's the right way and what's the wrong way, we're really only using half of that split brain. And in the process, we're leaving out a lot of our superconscious connection to each other. And so what we want to do is simply allow yourself to go into a relaxed state of reception and allow yourself to focus on your breathing as we do these clearings, and just simply accept that if this clearing is for you, that you will receive the benefits. Now, the first thing that we're going to clear is something called entities. Now, it's important to remember that we're doing this from a non-dual perspective. Even though we're using dualistic terminology and it sounds like an entity is something different or separate from you, we look at these things as only different aspects of our mind which we have projected out in our desire to get rid of or not have these experiences. We project these thoughts outward, and eventually they circle back and come back in the form in one of the forms they come back to us is in the form of these entities. So you could also think of these as animated thought forms asking to be received, asking to be healed. So we're going to start now with a left spin.
Counterclockwise.
And we're going to focus our intention now on clearing from our energy fields, our physical bodies, our homes and properties, as well as those affecting us from different time frames or spatial dimensions. So we're clearing all of these entities now from all of these realms and asking that they be sent now to the most beneficial and appropriate dimension for their highest good and ultimate healing. You see, you can't just get rid of energy, you have to do something with it. So we're sending this energy on to a healing place now. And as it is released from our energy fields, our bodies, our homes, we ask for a complete reversal of all ill effects associated with these entities. Sometimes these entities become part of a chronic physical issue, like a shoulder or a knee pain. Very often we find that joint issues resolve when we clear these entities. So again, just allow your breath to facilitate this release on the out-breath, and on your in-breath, just see new healing energies coming in to take the place of these entities in your field, in your body, in your home. And again, we give thanks to our spirit guides and all those beings of light who work with us in helping to facilitate this healing. And again, we thank these entities for whatever role they may have played in bringing this healing opportunity to our attention. So we continue with the spin now, which, by the way, we did start consciously, but we let go of the conscious control, you might say, of the process, and by default, the superconscious mind takes over. So you could say that the spin is taking on a life of its own, and it's an indication to us exactly how long this process is taking and how much time we have to allow it. So we find now that the spins are settling down, and we can move on to the next clearing.
So what I'd like you to invite all of you to do for this one is we're going to do some grounding together. For those of you that might not be familiar with what we mean by that term,
Coffee time?
It's coffee time. Yeah, it feels like it should be. It's been a long day. Anyway, anyway, in the morning it's grounding that way, but that's more like grinding. But anyway, the grounding we're talking about now is really being in our body fully and feeling present and calling in all that fragmentation of our mind, our thoughts all over the place. What did I do today? What didn't I do today? What do I have to do tomorrow? And what about my poor cousin? What's going on? You know what I'm talking about? Anybody out there get monkey mind? All over the place. We don't quite feel like we're in control. We feel like life is getting crazy and hectic on us. Well, an opportunity to ground simply allows us to put attention into the body and allow ourselves to really settle down, feel comfortable, be okay, and be feeling safe, secure, and confident in these bodies. How much more effective can we be when we are fully present and in our bodies every day? So right now, I am getting, for the group overall, not bad. I'm getting, we're about 80% grounded, so that's actually pretty good, about 80% in the body. What we're going to do with this grounding is I'd like to invite you to take a few deep breaths. David also already invited you to settle back. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. And feel your body. Feel that breath moving all the way into the body and expanding your lungs. And feel yourself, allow yourself to be fully here. And feel how good that feels. We're going to, with a right spin or clockwise now with the pendulum, we are now going to connect ourselves fully in these bodies down to Mother Earth. So if you will, imagine we are creating, you are creating a cord, an energy cord moving, connected from your tailbone, moving down through the earth, to the core of Earth, to the core of Mother Earth, the very center, and just holding you nurtured and connected, and allow all your stress of the day to move down this grounding cord and to be transmuted by Mother Earth. She knows what to do with this. She knows what to do with the chaotic energy. So take some deep breaths and just allow yourself to put your imagination, your attention by your tailbone, and feel that connection going all the way deep within the earth. Allow that connection, that cord, to now move up your spine through your whole body and out the crown of your head, connecting you with higher self, all aspects of your beingness, totally free to come in and be relaxed and confident and secure and peaceful in this body.
When we talk about becoming multidimensional beings, very often we put a lot of our attention on the higher dimensions because, of course, this is what we aspire to. But by leaving out the lower dimensions, we actually can become imbalanced in that way as well. So being multidimensional means all of the dimensions are respected and all of the dimensions can be elevated into that ascended state.
Absolutely, and it's actually anchoring ourselves consciously with the earth that creates a portal for us to experience other dimensions more, or other vibrational states, higher awareness. David?
Yes, present.
Present and accounted for. Let's see, shall we move through these pictures? For those of you, just a quick note, because I know a handful of people came in late to our presentation tonight. For those of you that came in a little late, we had some technical difficulties. We actually were working on how to get a video up with us doing the dowsing, and we worked on it and worked on it and worked on it, and frankly it just didn't pan out. You have to be a little creative here because this system, GoToWebinar, does not allow for that. So for next month's free dowsing conference, which we will do again, we will have the bugs worked out by then and have the video on as well.
The next thing we want to clear are demonic entities. Now again, this is a kind of an unfortunate term because it has a lot of cultural and historical baggage attached to it. We really don't want to go into the fear factor regarding any of these things, and just remember that these are all aspects of the mind. But it is a way of describing what we would call higher dimensional entities. The entities that we cleared already are what we would call fourth dimensional or astral. They're very close to us vibrationally, only one dimension removed, you might say. But these demonic entities are of a much higher vibration, a much higher spiritual energy, you might say, not necessarily of the positive persuasion, however. And so their purpose is very much the same. They serve to keep us in limitation. So what we're going to do now, and again with the entities, we actually employed the assistance of our spirit guides to assist with this process. In the case of the demonic entities, we have to call upon a higher level of being to deal with these. So we're going to call on the spirit doctors. And this is a term that describes a group of very powerful archangels. They know who they are. Their cell phones are ringing right now as we speak, and they will come online with us to clear these energies. So with a left spin, we now call on the spirit doctors to bind and take any demonic entities influencing us from our energy fields, in our physical bodies, in our homes and environments, or operating at in a different spatial or temporal dimension, releasing these demons now back to their source, to the most appropriate dimension for the highest good of all, and for their ultimate healing, rendering them harmless now in all time frames and dimensions. And as these energies are relocated, we ask for a complete reversal now of any and all ill effects, attractor fields. Now an attractor field is that thought or feeling within us that we originally disowned and came back in the form of these entities. So we clear the original attractor field as well. And we release any relationships of any of these influences, bringing healing and forgiveness into relationships that may have been marred or affected by these energies, releasing ourselves to a higher vibration that will no longer attract to us these kinds of experiences, what we would call demonic entities. And with gratitude to the spirit doctors for doing this work on our behalf. Now, just out of curiosity, one of the things we can do with classic dowsing is we can measure quantities. I'm just going to check in to see how many demonic entities were actually cleared. I'm getting 249. So that's quite the load off. And the good news is that these entities are not only lifted from us on this call tonight, but also from all of humanity, from the collective consciousness. So you see, when you stand up and you step forward for this kind of clearing, you're already in service to all of us, to the healing of humanity, the healing of duality. So again, thank you.
So folks planetary-wide are going to be sleeping a lot better tonight. Amen to that. So now we're going
no kidding.
Yeah, no kidding, exactly. So now we're going to release psychic cords. So psychic cords are energy cords. They're simply energetic attachments to relationships. It can be to any relationship at all. Some good examples of that are family relationships. And in general, if we have a psychic cord, if we see that psychic cords come up to get cleaned, to get cleared, what it means is that there's some unhealed business that we have with certain relationships, and it's draining us. Literally, we actually have our energy drained from family members, from relationships with family members that we haven't brought to peace, from relationships with friends, colleagues, you name it. People that are clients, if you're in the healing profession, people that are in high-profile professions, like the president, for instance, or actors, actresses, teachers, anybody that has a lot of attention on them all the time, that too can be the creation of unhealthy cords. And it's not as though we intentionally zap each other's energy out, but on an unconscious level, maybe we are envious of somebody. We wish we had what they had. So we kind of latch onto them with our thoughts, our desire for what they have, and it literally creates an energetic pull on them. Oftentimes these cords are associated with our chakras. Our chakras are our energy centers in the body and the field, and they literally suck our energy out and keep us feeling unbalanced in life. So basically, we do not cut cords. And I know some folks do that, but to us, that's just another form of separation, further separation, cutting my cord with these relationships. Rather, we clean the cords and transmute the unhealed energy, the negative thought forms, into a high vibrational light energy, healing the relationship. It seems a bit more proactive towards accepting oneness than just severing cords left and right.
Makes much less of a mess, too.
Much less of a mess, yeah. No blood on the floor, nothing. Anyway, so let's, with a left spin now, I'd invite you all, too, to check in, maybe stand up for a minute and see if you kind of feel pulled slightly forward. Ask if you have any cords before we start, just so you might see. And close your eyes. Just stand up with your feet just about 6 inches apart, comfortable stance, and say, do I have any energy cords affecting me, pulling me? And see if there's a gentle sense that you're getting pulled backwards or pulled forwards. And if that does not happen, it doesn't mean nothing's going on. It just means you're not sensitive to that right now. And you don't need to really know for us to be able to join in releasing these cords.
What's the difference between the forward and the back pull?
So the forward and the back pull, thank you for asking that. You're a good plant in the audience. Anyway, the forward pull indicates more so relationships in our future. what we're moving into actually kind of unhealthy right off the get, right? Something needs cleaning. So when we clean these in advance, we are opening the door to holy or whole relationships in the future. The back is talking about past lives or the past in this life, relationships from our past, kind of holding us back, pulling us back. And we use all of these, by the way, we create everything. Nothing ever happens to us. So in fact, we create these patterns as distractions to ourselves to keep us from moving forward in a whole, healthy, mindful sort of way. So let's release these now together. With a left spin, we now release all fear-based psychic cords from all aspects of our beingness, physical and non-physical, from our chakras and our aura, and all aspects, even from our cells, from cellular memory. We release all of these fear-based patterns, and we clean these patterns, we clean these cords, and we bring this energy to a 0 point back to pure, unpotentialized energy, and transmute it back to the vibration of love, which is the essence of everything and the only truth about us. We send these cords back as healed, whole, loving energy to all connections in these relationships, healing all wounds, closing all wounds up with golden light energy, and returning our power, returning our energy in divine alignment. See how that feels, and see as we do these clearings what you're feeling in your body and the field around you. Do you feel any lighter as we do any of these clearings? Do you feel more energy coming in? We're getting a few yeses here. Yay.
Now you'll notice that we always have some intention for the energy that is released, to transmute it. This is a very important principle. It's actually a principle of physics that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change form. So when you're doing this work, do something with the energy. Turn it into the most beneficial healing energy for the moment, or unconditional love is always a good one. But we have to be responsible with whatever it is that we're releasing. Now the next thing on our list for tonight is another archaic concept, but again, it's simply another flavor, you might say, of the suffering that the illusion of separation has wrought. And in this case, we want to clear all patterns rooted in the practice of witchcraft. And again, witchcraft is another way of saying negative intention, or using psychic powers for the ego's purpose rather than for the liberation of the mind back to spirit. And we've all had experiences like this in various time frames. There was a period in history where millions of people were actually persecuted for witchcraft. So there was a time in our lineage, you might say, when witchcraft was very much on our minds. So regardless of that, with a left spin now, we call upon all the helpers in the dowsing system to clear us, each and every one, for whom this is appropriate, of all patterns associated with witchcraft, either as the sender or receiver of these energies, reversing all ill effects and blockages associated with the energy of witchcraft, bringing healing and forgiveness into all relationships affected or implied by these energies, and again, filling all voids now in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual realms with fifth dimensional healing frequencies of divine love and forgiveness, particularly bringing healing into any relationships that may have been interrupted or affected by these energies of negative intent, releasing these relationships in all time frames and dimensions of this negative intent and returning them to union and to love.
Nice.
You see, the forgiveness itself is the power of transformation, to take whatever it is that we have made in less than a state of full awareness and transmute it back into the pure loving force and energy that is our source. So forgiveness is a very, how can I say, fundamental foundation for this type of dowsing. We're not clearing any of these things to make them real or to make them any more solid in our understanding. We're clearing them to release them because they are unreal. You see, if anything can change, is it essentially real? If we can change these energies, we have to ask ourselves, are they essentially real in and of themselves? And what we find is we're dealing with the level of form from an intention that comes from the level of love, which is formless. So again, we're getting back to that theme of dowsing beyond duality. And I'm getting that that's all clear for us now.
Nice. That's great. We're going to do the chakras and the aura, and I did see a question come up just about the movements, and this is just one system, by the way. Some of you may be, if you have been dowsing, using the pendulum in a different way to access yes and no answers and so forth. This is a system that we've been working with, and actually using these movements comes through a few different lineages, including Raymond Grace, some of you may know about, using these same movements. And what happens, and what we've found, we've been working with these, both of us, for over a decade, is the more we stick consistently with a particular system, if you will, the more we build it and use the same form, it actually creates a morphic field. It adds to the power, or the oomph, if you will, of being able to really have the tool work for you, have the dowsing system work for you. So it's not an absolute. In fact, there are no absolutes. And if we said any of this was absolute, it wouldn't be dowsing beyond duality.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. The only thing we know for sure is that there's nothing for sure. So anyway, we're going to do the chakras and the aura right now. The aura being a field that radiates beyond the physical body and actually is in communication. It is in communication with the environment and everyone in your environment long before anybody says anything to you, or you know anything on a conscious level or in communication verbally. Your field is communicating with all others around you. And so when this field gets junked up, we may feel confused, we may feel overloaded, we may feel just angry or distracted or edgy. So we're going to clear this out, and I got in advance that clearing and perfect picture. Wow, the timing of everything. We are actually going to clear not only the chakras and the aura, but because the chakras, the main ones, run right down our midline over the endocrine system, and the nervous system really carries that energy too. It's the direct interface with it. We'll clear the nervous system at the same time, actually the neuroendocrine system. Why? Because we can. Because the chakras, as we do clear them, will clear the endocrine system, and it will clear the nervous system. The chakras actually are the power centers, the energy centers that take information, energy information, high vibrational information and low vibrational information from our environment and transduce it to levels that move through our body as communication to our cells, to our DNA. And so let's do a nice cleaning now, a dusting and cleaning here. With a left spin or counterclockwise, we now move through, and I'm not going to do, we're going to move through them swiftly and quickly, which we can without spending much time on each individual one. But we're going to start with the lower chakras, the earth chakras that again connect us. They're below our feet and they connect us with the earth. We include now, we clear all earth chakras and the base chakra of all fear-based patterns, of all dimensional forms. Clearing as we move through these chakras and up through the aura, clearing the aura, the nervous system, and endocrine system as we move up. So just let yourself let go of this excess energy that has been chaotic and incoherent in the body and the field around you. We move up from the earth and base chakras, and the base chakra being by your tailbone or the pubic bone in the front. We move up now to the area around the navel in the second chakra, clearing and cleansing and allowing the flow of light to move up from the earth chakras, connecting us again, deeply connecting us with that support, moving up through the earth chakras, the base chakra, through that sacral chakra area, that second chakra by the navel, and on up to the solar plexus, which is a few inches above that, right at the base of your thoracic cavity or the rib cage, okay? Right in the midline, we're going up the midline. We release all fear-based patterns, transmuting all fear-based energy and blockages back to pure light energy in the vibration of love, allowing this to reverse all ill effects in all cells, DNA, organs, meridians, all aspects of our physical and non-physical being as we transmute this energy. We move up into the chest to the heart chakra and upper heart chakra, clearing this energy out, transmuting it back to pure light energy, the vibration of love, opening and enhancing the flow, the biochemical and bioenergetic flow in your body and the space around you. Moving up into the shoulder chakras and the throat chakra, releasing any and all fear-based limiting patterns, including ancestral patterns, karma, reversing all karma and transmuting these patterns back to love. With the healing power of true forgiveness, we simply let go of what no longer serves us. We move up into that area, right by that throat chakra, into the jaw and the occiput, the back of your head, clearing and cleansing this, allowing a new glow and flow of energy to move up through the body into the head, clearing the head, clearing the brow chakra, crown chakra, and all upper chakras, including the planetary, galactic, universal, and stellar chakras. We include all new chakras. There are so many chakras we have in the body and around the body. We clear all chakras, not just these main chakras. We extend this clearing out to all chakras, all meridians, all cells, and our aura, opening the flow of energy to a new level, attuning all chakras to a higher level of vibrational attunement, and reversing all ill effects from lower frequencies. Oops.
A wild one.
Wild one. Just lost half my pendulum. And allowing for integration of this cleansing and attunement.
And speaking of which, folks, after a clearing of this depth, you will want to be kind and easy with yourself, especially this evening. Take some time to get silent and settle into the new freedom that these releases bring. Sometimes we take for granted, the removal of these things, but really it does require, or it certainly is advantageous to have a period of reintegration after this kind of clearing. The next thing we're going to work with is something called Prehistoric Curses. And by the way, these things that we're clearing are all explained in our book, Dowsing Beyond Duality. They're part of a protocol. They're part of a set of things that you can douse to see whether or not it's appropriate or applicable to your situation, and douse just in the manner that we're doing. In the book, we also give background information about these different things as we're doing tonight, and also provide actually even some dialogue that you can use if you're not used to the language that you're hearing tonight. So just to reassure you that all of this is actually expanded upon in the materials. The next thing we want to clear now is something called Prehistoric Curses. Now we've heard about curses, we've heard about family curses. Prehistoric Curses is something that operates more on the atomic level. The atoms that make up the molecules, that make up the tissues and the organs in your body, actually have their origin in an exploding star. You see, the sun that's in the center of our solar system now is a secondary or second generation star. There was a star before that that was made of much simpler elements. And when it exploded, those elements combined into the more complex forms that we see in our sun as well as in the planets and in our bodies. So that old hippie song, you know, we are stardust, we are golden, well, actually, it's scientifically a fact. We are definitely made of stardust. And that means that the elements in your body have been around for 4.5 billion years. And do you think they might have collected some memory of trauma? Do you think the elements in your body might have gone through a few meltdowns or some radiation? You betcha. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about prehistoric curses. As a matter of fact, there are known cycles of destruction and regeneration on this planet, often having to do with extreme forms of solar radiation and gamma rays, etc. So all of this is held on an atomic level. And this is what we're going to clear now with the left spin. We're going to go back through the history of the atomic substances that make up our body and make up this world, and release all prehistoric curses, that is, memories of atomic trauma in our bodies. And we release these curses to be transmuted back to the frequency of divine love, of divine healing, allowing us to heal on an atomic level. And we ask that this healing extend now to the molecular and to the cellular and to the organ level, and that any conditions or issues or blockages associated with these prehistoric curses be now resolved once and for all, and that the atomic level within our bodies be reestablished now in the order of peace, with the memory of spirit, with the memory of the love of creation, which is what put us here in the first place. Allowing peace to come in now to replace all these memories of chaos and trauma on the atomic level.
What a beautiful thing to be healing right now, because look at how symbolic, look what we have done with the atom in splitting the atom and created the atomic bomb in this last decade, in the last century and several decades. We have been down to an atomic level, really moving to extremes with the idea of separation, you know, just war and killing ourselves off. And so this is really offering us an opportunity to heal that and to bring ourselves back to that place of knowingness that there is no separation between us, that we all are from the same source, and that our atoms are recycled atoms for eons that we have all shared together.
All made of the same light.
All made of the same light.
Okay.
Nice one.
I don't know if you'll be feeling that one so much, but again, some of you who are more sensitive may. And we certainly invite your feedback. If any of you are having experiences as we're doing these clearings, you know, let us know and we'll share with the group.
So the next clearing we are directed to is a nice follow-up to that one. It's a little time travel. And so I mentioned earlier how we can do time travel because what is the past other than the memories that we are holding on to in the form of energy patterns in us? And as David just expressed, how this is held on an atomic level and it goes back beyond the birth of this planet to other planets in our star system and beyond that, all of these elements that come together and form atoms and form our experience over and over again on this planet. Well, the time frame that I was directed to as we were looking for these clearings before getting together, the time frame that came up for all those on the call tonight is 90,481 BC. To the time of Atlantis, and clearing trauma that we are holding as a group, as a soul group from that time frame.
This must have been the original Atlantis.
The original Atlantis.
Three Atlantises ago.
3 Atlantises ago. So some think that Atlantis fell only once. Atlantis went on for 100,000 years or so, the civilization that we call Atlantis, and it had 3 major catastrophic periods that led to its final demise. and the disruption of that civilization, which then scattered throughout the globe. So we're being called to one of the earlier parts of that civilization, 90,481 BC. So we join now together as a soul group. We all resonate as we are drawn to getting together in anything like this call tonight. We are resonating with one another, and you can betcha that we're carrying similar patterns. So we go back to this point of time, and we release all trauma and memories of trauma from ourselves and all others involved at that point in time, reversing all ill effects and transmuting all these patterns through the healing power of forgiveness and just letting go back to the vibration of love, taking it back into our bodies, releasing all that cellular memory and DNA memory. And now if you look at this next picture, we're all laughing now. Good releases.
Mm-hmm.
Healing all relationships implied by that time frame and anything since, simply repeating the same patterns over and over and over again. We simply go to where the mind wants to take us to release the patterns, and it releases them for all time frame and dimensions.
So we're coming up on the end of the hour here, folks, and I think we'll do just a couple more clearings, and then we'd like to just share some announcements with you. The next thing we'd like to address are past vows and agreements that no longer serve our highest good. And often we made these vows and agreements at a time when we sincerely felt, and in the circumstances were probably correct, in assuming that these were for our highest good. However, we make these vows on such a deep emotional level, with such deep commitment, that we often bring them with us into subsequent incarnations where they do not necessarily support us any longer. Some of the more common vows and agreements that we may have made in the past that can limit us in the present are things like vows of poverty, which has, of course, historically been part of many religious traditions. Vows of silence, for example. So a person in the modern age might have a hard time expressing themselves or communicating, so perhaps there's a vow of silence. Vows of chastity, well, that's pretty well self-explanatory. There are also vows of obedience and vows of worship. So these are, again, things that in our innocence we took on but may no longer serve us. So with a left spin now, we ask to clear for each and every one of us, in all the most appropriate time frames and dimensions, all non-beneficial vows that are still part of our energy, still held in our genetic memory, that no longer serve us. Releasing ourselves now in the present, as well as in the past where appropriate, from all blockages and limitations, difficulties and problems associated with these vows and agreements, bringing healing and forgiveness into any and all relationships that may have been limited or affected in any way in a negative fashion by these vows and agreements, clearing the entire superconscious mind of the limitations associated with these vows and agreements.
Releasing these from our DNA and allowing the DNA to make appropriate corrections as we really are changing in our DNA. DNA in its prime directive, if you will, is a light receiver and transmitter throughout our body. And so as we release all of these traumatic memories on the level of DNA, what we're doing is we're freeing it up to take more light in, to be activated to more effective function, allowing that light to move through our body. We truly are light beings living in physical bodies, so we are really letting we've all been caught in the act. Now, to finish up tonight's dowsing, we're going to douse in to the right, with a right spin, I should say, a number, a rate, a number that correlates with everything that each one of us needs to continue integrating these clearings and opening ourselves up to greater freedom, clarity, appreciation, and creativity in our lives. We truly are creating a new earth together. So take in this number 999 and all the benefits. 999 is a gateway number. It's a release of all that no longer serves us, a walking out away from one sense of identity through the gateway to true identity, to knowing who we really are. Feel that in your cells. Take it in. Allow 999 to reverberate in your DNA through your field and body. That this may continue for each one of us until no longer needful, necessary, or beneficial.
This is a very powerful number symbolizing divine completion, which is really, again, the goal of this practice. So we'd like to, again, thank all of you for showing up tonight and for participating in this process. And we have a couple of announcements we'd like to make. The first one is a Dowsing World Summit. This is an online summit that we've been invited to participate in. And you can see here, some of the benefits. It's no cost to attend. There will be dowsing experts from around the world. This will go on for a couple of weeks. And so, again, you can get a lot of information at the site below here on the bottom. Now, I don't expect you necessarily to jot that link down, but if you are at all are interested in learning more about this World Summit, it's coming up in a couple of weeks now.
Is the link on our site yet? It will be.
I think if it's not on our site, definitely email us and we can get it to you. We're always available at info@bluesunenergetics.net. And again, this is the first really event of its kind using the online community to really unify and teach many people about dowsing from a lot of different perspectives. So again, if you're drawn to this, please take a look. We also want to let you know that Irina and I are holding a 2.5-day class, live class here in beautiful Boulder, Colorado, coming up September 21st, which is just the evening, 22nd and 23rd. So it's coming up fairly soon here. And we are really excited about the kinds of things that can happen when a group comes together for the purpose of learning this technique, working with each other. It's really a transformational time. And it also can lead towards credit, towards a certification as a spiritual dowser. So again, if any of you are interested in that, this could be a great opportunity as well.
And I want to mention, as far as this goes, that pricing is no longer available on our website. If you email us and mention that, if you were wanting to come to this and you email us and mention that you're on this call with us tonight, we will honor that discounted price with the flyer. Actually, the price, I believe, is up to $275 on the website now. So if you mention that, we're happy to honor that discounted price for you. And I want to mention also a couple of other options for you if you're really taken by this dowsing. We do individual sessions. We do personal sessions, long distance, most of them, because often we're on the road, and they're very, very effective. If anybody is called to check out a session, you can see that on our site, as well as a daily clearing group that we have. We started this back in the springtime as a way to be able to help out family and friends and colleagues and people that wanted to sign up for a subscription to this. And we do easy for me to say, we do a clearing every day together, similar to what we did tonight, only not as long. And we see what comes up for the group, and we do the clearing, and then we share a blessing, a transmission of a grace through the airwaves. We share it through the quantum field. We've been getting great reports and responses on this. And what we have been doing is once a week calls, similar to what we did tonight, only on the phone. We will be switching that over to these webinars because we can reach more people with these webinars. And so if anybody's interested in taking part of that daily clearing, again, you can find out more information on our website, about that. And we will be doing this again. We like to have something for everyone, and so this free clearing, we will, every couple of weeks we've been doing a phone call free clearing, and by the time we have our next webinar, I feel that we'll be able to have the video thing down. We are posting an option to purchase for a very reasonable fee a full 2.5, I believe it's 2.5 hours, 2 to 2.5 hour class that we had given that is recorded with video on, getting everybody up and going with the pendulum and doing dowsings with us. It was excellent. We did it in conjunction with acoustichealth.com, and we are putting that up on the site for those who would like to purchase their own download on that.
Right. It's a class that you can revisit and
That's
again,
right.
emphasize a lot of the practices that we did tonight. And also just a nod
and see the faces.
And see the faces. A nod to our book. Came out in June of this year, Dowsing Beyond Duality. This is available Amazon. It's also available barnesandnoble.com and most major bookstores. Again, it's written as a course to sit down with and follow through, and take you by the hand basically and get you up and running with all of these things, as well as over 70 charts and all kinds of goodies for you. So again, thank you so much for attending tonight and for making this such a fun time for us as well.
I had a request to put this, back up on the site here, so it'll be up for a moment or two. And we do see all of your comments, and thank you so much for being part of this with us. And if you have any further questions or comments and you want to email us, please do. We will get back to you. And we are just honored and so excited. We had a really nice turnout for this webinar tonight, and you're all just wonderful. Thank you for being part of this with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Appreciate all your comments. And again, let us know if you have any further questions coming up.
Many blessings to all of you, and smooth sailing. Stay on your surfboards as we ride these times together, hey?